Doing a little Xcom today. Thought I'd go over the starting classes and how you, when you upgrade them, what kind of abilities you get. This does make a difference on what you pick. Fortunately, you can retrain them, so it's not doom if you pick the wrong ones or ones you don't like. So here we have the Ranger class, and they get a sword that they can use, which is pretty handy. First abilities: extra damage, a little bit of extra aim with the sword. When the squad is revealed, the soldier remains concealed. I assume that only works one time. Never gotten it because I don't really find concealed is nice in the game. It's a fun little thing they put in, but unless you're trying to do something really tricky or maybe you run a whole team of guys that have Phantom, I'm not sure what it would give you because the rest of your team's still going to get targeted. So the next level, we've got Shadow Step and Shadow Strike. Shadow Strike is, again, when concealed, you get the 25 bonus, 25 crit chance. And the Shadow Step is, they don't trigger Overwatch or reaction fire. I always take the Shadow Step on this guy. I don't find attacking from concealment, like usually you can, if you've set it up right, you can kill all the enemies. So it's not a big deal. But this Shadow Step, sometimes you really need to move somebody. If you damage the enemy significantly, it'll knock them out of their Overwatch. So a lot of times you need to move this soldier. They don't trigger it. You can move them in close. You know, even if you can't kill them right that second, you can knock them out of Overwatch so everybody else can move in positions. Again, this is another, you can enter concealment once per mission. Not really sure that would help a whole lot. Definitely the run and gun. So you can basically take your full movement and still attack at the end of it, which is super handy. Blade Storm is really handy. The Implacable, if you score one or more kills on your turn, you're granted a single bonus move. You cannot use that move to attack. You can literally only move with it. It's not real handy. The Blade Storm definitely is. A lot of the enemies do a physical attack, and so when they come in to attack, you get to whack them first. And sometimes you can outright kill them. I actually had two Rangers stationed right next to each other, and they both triggered when an enemy moved in to punch one of them, which was unexpected. So you can definitely do some pretty good things with that. Untouchable versus deep cover. If you did not attack this turn, hunker down automatically. Well, that would only be useful in like a double move when you didn't have your run and gun. I did not find that useful. The Untouchable is even more useful because anytime you score a kill, the next attack against you misses, and that is super handy. Comes into play all the time. Reaper versus Rapid Fire. I didn't take the Reaper ever because I really wasn't sure how useful it was. You get additional melee strikes, but the enemy doesn't really group up that much. Like only when they're unaware that you're there when you're in concealment. So they're not usually right next to each other that you can do that many melee attacks. So I just couldn't imagine that you would ever get that useful. But this one where you get two shots, that is really handy for taking out the guys that have a ton of health. You just move this guy right up to them, and with their shotgun, they pretty much have a 100% chance anyways. And so maybe they'll have like a 95% chance on both shots, and you get two shots off. And that's also double the chance for getting criticals. So I found that to be invaluable. That's the Ranger. Good class, like them. A lot of times if I can, I like to take double Rangers. Get a ton of movement. Sharpshooter. The Sniper. Let's take a look here and see. Okay, sorry about that. So, get squad sight. You can target enemies within squad's mate sight, provided there is line of sight to the target. Self-explanatory, really, for the most part, same as the first game. Next one. Long Watch and Return Fire. Allow Overwatch to trigger with squad sight. Return fire whenever you're targeted. You get a free once per turn fire back with your pistol. That one's really handy. Probably wished I'd rather taken that one instead of Overwatch. Because honestly, the Overwatch isn't that handy with the sniper. Lightning Hands versus Deadeye. Take a shot with a small aim penalty for significant damage boost. I haven't actually used that. I did get it with one of my people, but I haven't used it yet. I'm assuming it works like the first game. It's probably pretty handy. But this Lightning Hands is also good because you get a free pistol shot. It doesn't cost an action at all. It does have a cooldown. It's like 3 turns or so, maybe 4. But that one's real handy. Just get a little extra shot in there. You can get this one, Death from Above and Quick Draw. Killing an enemy at a lower elevation with your sniper rifle costs only a single action and does not end your turn. So what this means is Death from Above is you can shoot with your first action, if you're above your enemy in elevation, with your sniper rifle, and you still have your second action. Because whenever you attack, that will end the action. So for example, you could use Lightning Hands, get a free pistol shot, use your sniper rifle, take another shot, and then you could shoot with your pistol again, or you could use one of your other special abilities. So that Death from Above is really good, especially if you pair it with an armor that has like a grappling hook. There's 2 armors in the game, and that's really handy. And this is kind of the same thing, but the pistol does have a shorter range than the sniper rifle, so if you go all pistol with this guy, everything's going to be kind of close range. And I like mixing it up with both, as you can see. Next one, Face Off and Kill Zone. Take a reaction shot against any enemy that moves or attacks within a cone of fire. Like I said, Overwatch in this game is nice, but I haven't found it to be the most useful, necessarily. So this Face Off, though, fire once at every visible enemy with your pistol. And that is great, because you can a lot of times get 3, 4, even 5 shots. And the pistol does not have ammo, so you do not have to reload. So it can shoot, shoot, shoot forever. Steady Hands. Did not move. Get plus 10 aim, plus 10 critical chance. Which, of course, with a sniper rifle, the sniper happens quite often because you'll move up to an elevated position and you can, with squad sight, you can shoot quite far away. So a lot of times your sharpshooter will not move and you'll get that bonus. The other one is if you hunker down, you get plus 20 aim to the first shot in the following turn. I don't find myself hunkering down that often. The final ability is Fan Fire. Fire the pistol 3 times at the same target. Not bad. Serial. Every kill made with your sniper rifle, your actions will be refunded. Took that one because the later enemies have a lot more health and armor. How armor works is it reduces the damage they take, and you have to have a special ability or an explosive to get rid of the armor, to shred it. The pistol does not shred the armor. So the later enemies, the latter enemies, the ones that are really tough, the pistol tends not to be very effective because you will literally only do 1 or 2 points of actual damage to the enemy, and that's with the best upgraded pistol you could get. So I definitely find the sniper rifle, getting that refund, because it does quite a bit of damage. So and you have a high crit chance, so it's definitely a good ability. All right, let's see what else have we got. Specialist. Okay, so they have a little drone that flies around and does a lot of things with them, which I really appreciate, because I remember one of the problems in the first game that they made was that you had to have your medic kind of right next to the person to heal, and it was a lot of times really difficult because you didn't want to keep your guys together because you didn't want to get attacked, explosives, grenades thrown on them. So you kind of had to keep them apart, and anyways, just to kind of keep in cover and everything, you kind of had to spread out a little bit anyways. So that was a pain. But the drone will go heal, so you don't have to be next to the person to heal them. The drone will go over to them, so you can heal them from anywhere. And as you can see, they have this battle medic and combat hacker, and you really don't have to make a choice between the two. And you'll see this why here in the 2 most powerful abilities that they have aren't at odds with each other. So the combat protocol, you can send the gremlin to an enemy, jolting them with damage increased against robotic enemies. It's actually really good against robotic enemies. And this one, you send the gremlin over and he'll go heal. As long as you have a med kit equipped, which you have to build, they'll heal. Next one's revival. Remove any negative mental state, stunned, disoriented, panicked, or unconscious. And the haywire is you attempt to seize control, which I find has a really low chance of happening in the game. There's a couple things you can do to boost it, a couple of pieces of equipment you can put on your person to give them increased hacking, but you really only get to take one other item. So a lot of times it's like, do I just want to take something to boost my hacking? Yeah, not really. But you could, if you wanted to, just screw that revival protocol, because that disoriented, stunned, panicked, or unconscious, it's not that bad. I haven't had a real problem with it. So, I mean, if you wanted to just take the haywire, you could. Next one, scanning protocol versus field medic. So this one, equipped medkits have 2 extra charges, which is awesome. And then the scanning lets you see for 1 turn a little bit more and any hidden or disguised enemies in view. I did get this with one of my guys. I actually made a guy that has all the combat hackers and the hacker abilities. This scanning protocol is pretty much useless. I have not found anything useful for it. Now, there are an enemy that looks like a civilian in the game, but I've not had a problem dealing with them, even when I didn't know necessarily it was them. It's just never been a problem. So, again, and there's always so many, like even on those maps where there is an enemy hidden as a civilian, there's so many, you only get to use it for, it only lasts 1 turn. And I think it only has so many uses as well. It's not like you can just keep doing it every turn. So that's, you're not going to just luckily guess, you know. And I just didn't find it that useful. Next one, threat assessment covering fire. Threat assessment, aid protocol gives covering fire Overwatch shot, but the aid protocol cooldown is increased by 1 turn. So basically they get a free shot at anybody that attacks the person that you go to help. And covering fire's Overwatch shots can now be triggered by any enemy action, not just movement. I usually take that one. I did take threat assessment, I think, for one guy. This one, Ever Vigilant versus Guardian. Now this Guardian is really handy. With every successful Overwatch shot, there's a 50% chance that another shot will be made. I have gotten, the most I've ever gotten is like 5 Overwatch shots with the same person. And it does pop up quite often, so that's pretty handy. And if you spend all your actions on moves, you are granted an automatic Overwatch shot at the end of the turn. Honestly, this one wouldn't be bad either to take. There's a lot of times where you need to move really heavily to get in position, and it would be handy to put him in Overwatch to get a shot when the enemy moves. So, you know, both pretty handy. Then Restoration versus Capacitor Discharge. Again, this is another damaging electrical discharge, which is mainly against robotic units. Some of the robotic units in the game are really tough, so that's not bad. But Restoration, it flies to each squad member, healing or reviving them as needed. That's really handy because it heals everybody, and it goes to each person. So that's 6 heals. Six heals for a full squad, of course. Let's see what we got. Oh, here's Psi Operative. I guess we could go over that. You can train them. You don't have to send them in to get kills, which is awesome. Inspire. Grant a bonus action immediately to a nearby squad mate. Okay, now all these have cooldowns, so you can't use every single one all the turns. And a lot of them have like 3, 4, or maybe even 5 round cooldowns, so be aware of that. But yeah, this is handy and does just what it says. You just get an extra action. You can use it to attack or move. Insanity. I mean, you can pause the video if you want to read these. I'll just go through them. I don't remember what that one is. I'll have to go back and look. Most of them are self-explanatory. I don't know what Rupture is. Self-explanatory. Domination. As far as I can tell, you can only use it once per mission, but it's near 100% chance. I've never had it fail, so it takes control of them for sure. Detonate the explosives. Null Lance. Okay, now this one is really handy. It's just a beam that goes through everything, and you can hit multiple enemies in a line, and it projects from the PSYOP person, so that's pretty handy. And the Void Rift, of course, is an area of effect. Pretty good too. Let me check my other Psi Operative and see if they'll let us know. Oop, nope, not you. Maybe she got the abilities. Nope, must have sucked. You can pick them. They're in the thing, so if you're really interested. But those are the main ones. Grenadier. I don't have a Colonel Grenadier, really? Oh, sorry. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, the last one's locked. Alright. So, they get a grenade launcher, which is great because they get 2 grenade uses out of it. It's awesome. First ability, Shredder versus Blast Padding. 66 less damage from explosives, and they get 1 point of armor. And then the Shredder, your cannon attacks shred armor. They're talking about your actual like shots, your bullet shots, not just your grenade launcher. Grenades automatically shred. I can't think of hardly any reason to take this blast padding. I did take it on a few guys and it ends up being really useless. This Shredder though is invaluable because other than using grenades, which honestly don't do a whole lot of damage, that's how they control for the area effect of them, they just don't do a lot of damage. This allows your cannon shots to shred through a ton of their armor, and that permanently gets rid of it. That's what it means. So if somebody has 4 armor and you shoot them with this person with this upgraded cannon, I think the first cannon that you have only shreds 2 armor off, but I think this one does 3. It's permanently gone, which means your attacks do so much more damage. So for example, if they had 4 armor, you shoot them with this gun, shreds 3. That means everybody else only has to deal with getting past that 1 point of armor, which means 1 less damage, which is great. Suppression versus demolition. This just destroys the cover. You know, this gives a huge aim penalty, which is pretty handy if you just know you're not going to be able to kill somebody, but you need to kind of keep them from whacking the rest of the guys. Now honestly, this one is a kind of your own choice. Heavy Ordnance, you get a grenade, extra grenade use. That means you have 3 total grenade uses. And hollow targeting gives you plus 15 aim against that target on any subsequent attack by any of your teammates. That's real handy for the guys that are really hard to hit, because even if you miss, you still get that plus 15. But also having that extra grenade use is really handy. Grenades deal plus 2 damage. Obviously invaluable, especially if you're going to take that heavy ordnance. Chain shot. 15 penalty. If you hit, you get another shot automatically. And, you know. Like I said, the grenades shred, so, you know. Hail of bullets versus salvo. Launching or throwing grenades or using heavy weapons with your first action will not end your turn. It means you can shoot and then move instead of having to move and then shoot, or stay in place and shoot in your first turn. And then the hail of bullets, this uses 2 to 3 ammo, and it definitely hits. So that's kind of handy against those hard to hit guys. And I don't know what the last one is. She got hurt. And that's all of those classes. Here's my specialist with all the abilities. Door. Let's go over to the psi thing just so you can see how it works. So you pop a person in here. You can do 2 if you want. I haven't bothered. But you can pop them in there, and it usually takes about 5 days, and you can train them an ability, and you just keep picking. You just keep going and picking. So you can totally get all their psi abilities unlocked without having to send them into combat. Very handy. And I was thinking there was something else. Tell you what, let's take a look at the guerrilla tactics just so you can see this. Super handy abilities. I've purchased all of them, of course. If you need to, you can pause the game and take a look at each one individually if you're picking out. Squad size is a must. There are 2 of those. Definitely have to get that. Beyond that, I would say that it really probably doesn't matter which ones you get next, but definitely squad size. Start with 4, you can get 5, and then unlock to do 6. Alright. Go into the proving ground. You can see what you can make. The race suit is the final form of the grappling hook armor. Really good. War suit's another thing. I think it has 1 or 2 pieces of armor on it automatically. really good. Then you get a lot of these random. Every time you make these experimental ones, it's random which one you get, but they're definitely really handy. Speaking of that, let's go down to our items real fast, see if I can. Moving ground. No, not that. I've never actually gone in to look at. No. Maybe this. Maybe this will tell me what I want. Doesn't tell me the exact ones. Maybe it'll show me here. Nope, it's not. Alright. Basically in there you can build experimental armors, which are like a vest, and they each have unique abilities, which is pretty cool. One negates any environmental damage like fire, acid, poison, and it gives a small health. They all give a small health bonus. Another one, let's see, automatically heals you for 2 per turn, up to a maximum of like 8 or so. Very handy. And there's one also that just gives you a point of armor and health bonus, so you can also boost that up. Something else you may want. I want it. Oh, I think it's just slow. Give me a second here. I was going to show you the personal combat sims. These are like little boosts that you can give your guys. Some allow mobility, give you a few extra squares basically to move. Some give you an increase on dodge. But I don't think it's going to let me see them if I've already upgraded my person, which is odd. PCS Advanced. Yeah. Advanced agility, so he probably gets a plus 21 to dodge. Okay, it says it up there. So what did she get? She doesn't even have one. Well, that's my bad. But usually dodge and mobility is what most of them, the ones that I've seen, I've gotten, seem to give you. I think I'm on the last mission of the game actually. Find it very entertaining, very fun. If you have any questions, just leave them, ask them below, and I'll see if I can get to them and answer them for you. I'd definitely say this is, if you like a turn-based game, this is definitely a very strong, very fun one. They've improved on everything in the first game, just made it all better, and it's quite entertaining. You know, one of the things that might be helpful to see is this. Go to the bridge, and this is kind of your overview map of what's going on. You always have that avatar project at the top that you have to be concerned about. You have ways to keep it under control, but it's just something to be concerned about. And of course you can select all your missions. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see kind of the map. This bonus is so handy. It reduces all the Guerrilla Tactics School costs by half. That, got to get that as soon as possible. This, I don't even think I ever built a lab, so whatever. All supplies increased by 20%. Not so good. This one is handy. All experimental ammo, grenade, and weapons projects are done instantly. I think they normally take around 5 days. Oh. Okay, so you get to see. Stasis, I think, is the one that wasn't unlocked. The Psi Operative. Completely stun the target for 1 turn, but they can't do any damage or be attacked. So it kind of just takes them out of commission all over. Void Rift. We'll go ahead and do that. And you can see how then, actually it's kind of handy that happens, so you can just see how they get trained. If you have any questions, once again, just ask them below in the comments and I'll see if I can get to them. It's a great game. Turn-based strategy, couldn't ask for much more.